When we use a function to describe an actual situation, the function is called a mathematical model. In this course, we will be using a lot of mathematical models. Many of the problems you will be seeing will be given in words, and you are going to have to write out the function. You will have to take the words and actually translate it into the math. To do that, we will be using function notation. Most of you are quite familiar with the notation y equals f parentheses x, which we often read as y equals f of x. The of in this case does not mean multiplication. It means y equals a function whose independent variable or whose input variable is x. There is no multiplication going on between the f and the x. Another way we could say the same thing is we could say the output is a function of the input. So in other words, input is the independent or inside variable, and that results in the output. I could write that in shorthand and say O equals a function of I, or I could say the dependent variable is a function of the independent variable. Now I just used the phrases independent and dependent. What do we mean by this? Well, by definition, the variable located within the function is called the independent variable. In most cases, that's what you think of as x. The variable located on the quote-unquote other side of the function is called the dependent variable, in this case y. Why do we use independent and dependent? Well, if you remember back to the days when you first started creating tables, you were allowed to pick the x's you wanted to. In many cases you were told, but really you had freedom to pick. You used like -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, and 3. But as soon as you picked those numbers, the y's were fixed. You could then just compute the y right out, and it depended on the x that was chosen. Now you should be aware that we will often use variables other than x and y, and you should be able to work with any variables.